Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. Here I have the Tauchsport Tec Buoy Pro dSMB. So this is a delayed surface marker buoy, something that you send up towards the end of your dive to signal your location in the water. Now this is a open-ended but fluted design, which means that when you it's open-ended, so you can use the exhaust from your primary or use your octo to inflate it under the water, but instead of going up to the surface, as soon as it flops over, the air just rushes out. It actually has a fluted design, some call it a duckbill valve, in that when it's full it actually closes the bottom so that if it ever does flop over it stays inflated. So yeah, let's take a closer look. Okay, so the buoy, as you can see, it comes with this kind of wrap around it, and that has a Velcro seal, so when you're not using it, when you're storing it in a pocket or clipped off to a D-ring, it kind of wraps itself up and it stays nice and neat and tidy. This has a few benefits. The main one is if you're wearing really big, heavy, clunky gloves, if you have one of those sort of bungee ring systems, it can be a little bit awkward to try and deploy your dSMB because you just don't have the dexterity. Whereas if you have a big tab like this, just to Velcro open it, it's pretty easy even if you do have really thick, like 7mm gloves on. You unravel that, and then down at the bottom of the dSMB, you have a small stainless steel D-ring off to one side, so you can attach a line onto that. It's open-ended, so you can put air in at the bottom, and then if I flip it over, you can see it has this kind of bottleneck sort of shape on the inside. So as the air comes in, it funnels through here, it goes into the dSMB, and then as that gas starts to expand as the dSMB is ascending, it actually closes that bottleneck so that air can't escape. If it's ascending from any great depth and it just keeps expanding, it is going to shut itself, but there is an overpressure valve on the other side so that if it gets too much, it allows any excess gas to vent out of there. It's a one-way valve so that any excess gas can escape. That way your dSMB doesn't just explode. At the end of the dive, you use that pull toggle just to open up that valve, just to vent any air or any water that's inside of the dSMB. Now, this is a two-part dSMB, so you have two separate sort of pieces of material that are heat welded and stitched together. Now, I prefer this design because the alternate is you only have one that's folded over and then stitched down one side, and that fold just ends, it just gets worn that much faster, whereas with two separate pieces, they don't wear nearly as fast, so this is better. Moving down to the far end of the buoy, nothing too fancy is going on, and until you reach the top, you get a diver down flag, the alpha flag. You get a small little attachment point here with this webbing, and that's about it. The whole buoy, from the D-ring to the very tip, measures about 150-155 centimeters tall, so it's a decent size. And as far as width, that's about sort of 15 centimeters across. So yeah, all in all, pretty sensible dSMB. Right, so reviewing this. So this, buoys, we review in 4 different categories, and then the 5th overall. So we're looking at the size, the ease of use, the features that are on the dSMB, the cost, and then the overall score. So starting off with the size, so I gave this a 5 out of 5. 150 centimeters, 1.5 meters is pretty big, and it's nice and wide as well, so even if you are in fairly high seas, it's still going to stick out above and it's going to be really obvious in the water. Bright red, orange, depending on what you want to call it. Yeah, it's the standard color for sort of dSMBs. So yeah, decent size, 5 out of 5, easy score for that. Ease of use, again, 5. There's nothing particularly fiddly about this, especially with that sort of protective sleeve. You got the big Velcro, so even if you do have big, heavy gloves on, it's still going to be pretty easy to use. The only thing that I'd probably change about it is I'll probably move that D-ring and probably give it a slightly bigger D-ring so that it's central and a bit bigger. So if you're trying to thread a leader through it, it's a little bit easier, but by no means is this a hindrance to dSMB deployment. Then looking at features, I only gave this 2 just because it doesn't have an oral inflation valve. It doesn't have a valve that you can use a low pressure inflator hose. So yeah, it's only getting a 2. It has everything that you need, don't get me wrong, but it could have a few extra features. And as far as cost, this sits kind of at the lower mid-range of dSMBs. It's built pretty well, and the overall finish is pretty good. It's getting 4 out of 5 for that. In this kind of price range, you do find some dSMBs that do have those oral inflation valves, but yeah, so that's the only reason why it didn't get 5 out of 5. So as an overall score, it's getting 8 out of 10. Very good dSMB, and yeah, if you're not too fussed with oral inflation valves or closed systems, then yeah, this is one heck of a dSMB, and one that I personally would be very happy to use. Okay, so that's the Tauchsport Tec Buoy Pro, a well put together dSMB, delayed surface marker buoy. It's open-ended, but it's also fluted, so it's going to self-seal itself. And yeah, it's got that nice sort of deluxe sleeve that kind of wraps it all up in Velcro. So when you're not using it, it's kind of wrapped up nice and neatly. More information is going to be on our website, simplyscuba.com. There's going to be a link down in the descriptions taking you straight to this dSMB. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.